Welcome back into the stream, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us, Faith Jesse and Zach Merchant. And if you were joining us before the break, we had a very in-depth conversation with Greg Bluestein from the AJC surrounding the passing of Georgia U.S. Representative David Scott, who has been a long-serving member of Congress and served in several positions, elected positions, throughout his years of service.
A legacy that spans decades and now leaves this community suddenly without a representative on the United States House of Representatives floor, leaves his family and his loved ones mourning and grieving his loss. Raises a lot of questions about what comes next electorally and politically, and we'll get to that all in due course. But we want to focus right now on his legacy and on the impact that his passing is having on his colleagues, the United States Capitol. We're going to play for you right now. This is the moment earlier today that it was announced on the floor of the United States House of Representatives that Congressman David Scott had died.
The House will be in order. Under Clause 5D of Rule 20, the chair announces to the House that in light of the passing of the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. David Scott, the whole number of the House is 430.
So that announcement taking place in the United States House of Representatives with sometimes typical understatement. But what was being said there was that a member of their own, a member of Congress, had passed, and at the end you heard the whole number is now 430. That means that the whole number of members of Congress has now fallen by one with the passing of Congressman Scott.
And you could hear the somber tone in her voice as well. This is a man who was no stranger to politics. I mean, he served 5 decades in elected office. He was just 80 years old when he passed. The news coming down just a couple of hours ago, so very new information. But once again, when you think about the life and legacy, of course, he was a lifelong Democrat, but he did work across the aisle. That's what we heard from Greg Bluestein, even acknowledging that just a couple minutes ago when we were speaking with him. He was a moderate Democrat, a mentor for other colleagues. He also is someone who, while he was a Democrat, reached across the aisle and was respected by the other side, the Republicans. Republican Governor Brian Kemp also acknowledging his passing earlier today. Let's take a listen.
There's been an awful lot going on today. I want to start by offering our condolences to the family and friends of U.S. Representative David Scott, who passed away just a little while ago. Congressman Scott has served our state for many years. He was a champion for so many communities, especially our agriculture industry, and his impact will be felt for years, and our prayers are with him and his loved ones at this time.
Was not done with politics. We know that he had filed qualified. He was under the Gold Dome signing his paperwork not long ago. I believe that was on Crossover Day in March.
Crossover Day week, yeah.
Crossover Day
only,
week in
only
March.
What, a month ago maybe at this point?
Getting ready
Very
to
recently.
run for his 13th term in office to serve his district, which has been redrawn a couple of times, but he was serving the 13th congressional district. You drive up and down the roads out in his district, you see those big billboards with him running. He had a lot of candidates who wanted to unseat him. We are starting to get some statements. One of those, Zach, coming from someone that you sat down with not too long ago, Dr. Everton Blair, candidate for Georgia's 13th congressional district, saying in part, "I'm deeply saddened by the passing of Congressman David Scott. For more than 2 decades, he answered the call to serve the people of Georgia's congressional district with dedication and conviction. His legacy of public service spans a lifetime of leadership from the Georgia General Assembly to the halls of the United States Congress." Of course, with his passing, a lot of empathy coming out, but we also know that when he was here with us, there was some words directed to Congressman Scott saying, "Why are you still serving? It's time for another generation of leadership."
And a number of these Democratic challengers who had filed to take on the long-seated incumbent of Congressman Scott, they directly raised questions about his age and his health. Those questions taking on a little bit of a different tenor in light of what happened today. And to be clear, those questions were asked long before
Long
the news
before, of course.
today.
Yeah.
But we had seen the congressman. He was using a wheelchair to get around for some time recently. He was in a wheelchair when he filed his qualifying paperwork at the Capitol. But he said, and his team had said, that he was ready to go, and he was committed to running again. Today, the sad news, of course, that he will not be. It does throw, and you hate to talk about politics in a moment like this, there is a political component to this, though. Then if you're a voter, you may now have some questions about who represents you
That's right.
in Congress and
Yeah.
what happens in the ordinary course whenever there is a seat in Congress that becomes vacant for circumstances like this or something else, a congressman or a woman resigning. Anytime there becomes a vacancy, it then falls to a special election
Right.
where a date will be set. The governor sets those dates. And that election will be to fill out the remainder of this term. So through basically the end of this year.
Something we just saw in the neighboring district, District 14, Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning from her seat earlier this year, triggering that special election that then went into a runoff. We know Republican Clay Fuller will be serving the extension, but District 13 now going to see something similar. Like Zach was saying, voters will have to come out to the polls several times now, one in the special election, then again May 19th for the primaries, then again in November to see who will have that full 2 terms.
And you could see runoffs
and you
as
could
well
also see runoffs.
in potentially the general primary on May 19th and whenever the special election is, depending on how big the field is. There's a large field of challengers that were already lined up for the primary.
That's right. I was going to say all of this comes at the helm of human loss, right? I mean, it's politics, and as people say, the show must go on. However, you have to bring it back. You have to take a second. I mean, everything is always moving, but this is a man who was very loved in his community, by his family, under the Gold Dome, in Washington, in Congress. He was somebody who paved the way. He's somebody who saw a lot of change in Georgia.
So much change. You think of 5 decades
Yeah.
of time in the state of Georgia, how different we are today than we were in 1970.
Yes, to a point where, you know, he witnessed parts of the civil rights movement, parts of change that allowing me to sit here in this seat to speak with you right now, allowing a lot of those the rights and the leaders and the enjoyments of what we as Americans are able to experience here in Georgia and across the country, a pivotal voice, a voice of change, a voice of legacy, and somebody that will never be forgotten.
And before we go to break here, because I understand we're running low on time, I want to leave us with this. We've been talking, of course, about the passing of Congressman Scott, a member of a generation of political leaders that saw so much and spent so much time in public service. I want to read a statement from another generation, a younger generation of Democratic politicians in Georgia. This is what Mayor Andre Dickens had to say when he learned the news of Congressman Scott's passing. I'm going to read this here. Mayor Dickens saying, Atlanta joins the state of Georgia in mourning the passing of Congressman David Scott, one of Georgia's longest-serving voices in Washington, D.C., and a tireless advocate for the people he served. For decades, he fought for Georgia farmers, advocated for our veterans, and ensured his constituents were supported at the street level with job and health fairs, serving tens of thousands of Georgians over the years. His legacy is one of service, perseverance, and deep commitment to this state. My thoughts are with his wife, his children, extended family, his colleagues, and all who were impacted by his work. Those are the words of Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens on the passing of Congressman David Scott today, April 22nd.